Hello, my lovely radio family. This is Elaine Bartlett here with you this afternoon, and welcome to my sacred inner chamber called the Purple Portal. It is delightful to be with you, and it feels like a long time. Things got a little interrupted this month with 4th of July being on a Tuesday, and I hope you all had a happy 4th. And this particular broadcast is live this minute, but it won't be live by the time you hear it, simply because it's vacation season. So it's being recorded, and on Tuesday it will play. Therefore, you may not phone in, but you still may contact me in a few happy ways. And I look forward to you each reaching out to me. Some of you actually have my phone number. Go for it. Others of you, though, need to reach me either through the original email address that you have for me, or the one that's kind of connected to my outer business world at the radio, excuse me, which is Purple Portal 777 at gmail.com. So once again, between a sip of water, Purple Portal 777 at gmail.com. I also encourage you to check out my website, because it's not so updated this month, but there's happy things on it, and there's the different services that I offer to you so that you can become more awake and aware and just more connected with your inner self. That's kind of the thrust of my work in the world, so that you have a better idea of how to look at yourself fairly and squarely and honorably, and then make any self-adjustments that are appropriate. When I did have the last live show, I did speak about a concoction that I had kind of made up. It's kind of partially I made it up, and partially lots of different teachers have spoken of it over the years. But I've had many inquiries about it, and the inquiries alerted me to the idea that I should give this concoction again, tell you some of the benefits of it, and give you the more direct proportions, because that's what seemed to throw some of you. I don't know what the name of it is. It's kind of a water lemon kind of concoction. Here it is. You take baking soda, about a teaspoonful, and please don't use the baking soda that's been in your refrigerator for probably 10 years because you forgot to mark the date on it when you actually put it into your refrigerator. Go get yourself a new little box of baking soda. While you're at it, get some organic lemons, because that's going to be the foundation of this thing. And after that, you can kind of add as you see fit. So here's what I do. I take a teaspoon of the baking soda, about a cup of warm water. Why do I take warm water? It's better for your system to ingest warm things. Cold drinks are particularly challenging for your kidney energy, or what I call the kidney chi. And I know people, especially in the state I live in, they want the ice in the drinks, and the more ice, the better. And their nose is very out of joint when it's not ice cold. I cannot tell you how much difficulty that creates for the kidney energy. As a matter of fact, if you have any kidney issue whatsoever, you really need to stay away from cold drinks, period. My Tibetan healer up in New York State, she's always saying no cold. Both she and her husband do not have cold. It's too harsh on the system. So to get back to my concoction, all right, we've got the teaspoon of baking soda at the bottom, then about a cup of water, and I make this in a very big mug based on what's going to happen next. I'm a rather finicky eater, so for me, the concoction of just the baking soda and lemon juice is a bit too harsh. So I add about an ounce, maybe two, of very pure apple cider. So I layer that onto the water simply because I have found when I add the juice of a full lemon, so I actually have a juicer. Some of you might not have that, but I use the full lemon, which is why I get an ounce or two of lemon juice. And then very slowly, I add that to the concoction. Now it starts, if you pour it in too quickly, chemically, it doesn't do well with the baking soda, so this thing starts to fizz all over the place. The slower you pour it in, keep a spoon handy. In other words, you keep taming the bubbles, if you will. Sometimes I add about a quarter of a teaspoon of Manuka honey. Now, I get the 20 grade. That's the top of the line. It's the doctor grade of Manuka honey. I add that when I feel maybe my immune system isn't as strong as I want it. So I don't add it every day. It's up to you. Maybe you do want the Manuka honey. Maybe you don't. Maybe you can do it without the apple cider. It's going to be your call. So the main ingredients, baking soda, water, and lemon. You could call it quits right at that. Now, here's some of the results that I've heard. One gal, she was not really feeling well, and she just happened to mention it when we were having a little chat on the telephone. And I said, whoa, go get some baking soda, go get your lemon and make this concoction. The problem that she was having was she almost felt as if she was getting the beginnings of a hernia or massive indigestion. And she drank a cup of this. She actually could not believe what the difference was and how quickly. You know, this will balance your acid and alkaline levels. It will help with any little bit of arthritis, which is also a byproduct of the wrong balance of acid and alkaline. It could help with gout. It helps with, you name it. It settles the digestive tract right down, and therefore everything that's connected with that. And personally, I have found it even helps calm the nervous system. And the nervous system is a system that I think we kind of, we almost disregard it, or we talk of it in rather disrespectful terms. But as I really contemplate that nervous system, it's a many-tentacled system as far as I can figure out. And these tentacles really are a part of your genuine wellness system. I remember as a little girl, my mother used to caution me and the other kids, don't get overly excited. Calm your excitement down. And she used to come down particularly, strongly with me with, don't get so excited. And I never really understood the value of it until now, when that overexcitement, it's overstimulation. And what it does is it fries your nervous system. And that system is very, very critical as far as keeping everything running smoothly. So you really want to stay in harmony with all the systems that you feel you are blowing out of your own system. So that's the water and lemon concoction, and I hope you now understand the exact proportions. Look, if you want to add a little less water, do it. If you want to add a little more water, have a good time. If you want to add 2 lemons, go for it. In other words, you're your doctor. You are your own healer. And that's, of course, to me, the missing piece with Western medicine. They treat everyone the same, and that's insane. No 2 days in a row are you the same. you're not the same from morning till afternoon. So please love yourself enough and take yourself into account accordingly. Driving up here today, I do my best thinking either in the shower or driving up here for some reason. And all of a sudden, a lovely phrase settled into me. And it's along the lines of this, calm yourself and the water and the lemon and all that jazz. And the phrase, which I think I should either have mugs with this imprinted on it or T-shirts or something very happy and profound, and perhaps that's how I'll make my money for my dotage so I don't have to worry in life. And the phrase is, sink into serenity. And as that phrase just came into my awareness, I just kept repeating it and repeating it. And as I did, I felt lighter. Any weight lifted from me, any constriction, any sense of conflict. And as I kept repeating, sink into serenity, it's almost as if some magical kingdom permeated every cell of my body, and everything just relaxed, like when you finally give yourself permission to collapse into the rocking chair on the front porch and just allow yourself to be. It was such a happy thought, and I know why it came to me. This morning I was working with a client, and she was a bit frazzled. And all of a sudden, I found myself saying to her, it's time for you to cultivate serenity. And that's the next word in your evolution. And just feel how good it is when you are serene. And it was so lovely because she then said, she calmed herself down from the high pitch that she's usually at. She's a very intense businesswoman, successful, but very, very intense. And she took a deep breath and she said, that's what my father used to say to me. Now, I knew her father before he crossed over, and I thought, I wonder if he wasn't perhaps responsible for moving the thought into me to verbalize it to her, because he had great love for her. So then as I'm mulling that over, you can see where I go with my contemplation and mulling. In the silence, one thing leads to another, and voila, the lovely phrase, sink into serenity, is born. So if any of you would like to sponsor me making T-shirts and mugs, let me know, please. I'm already up for the task. So that was that. And then I have a couple of lovely thoughts from Alan Watts. Alan Watts was a world-renowned philosopher, writer, and speaker. And he really pursued the true nature of reality, which when I understood that about him, I thought, hello, Alan, I know you. And because that's what I'm all about. I am pursuing the true nature of reality, spelled with a capital R. That's why so much of everything that I've, worked so diligently to master over the last umpteen years of my life, you kind of have to begin to let it go because it's not the true nature of reality. So I'm going to share with you a couple of the things that he said that were so wonderful. Number one, this moment is infinite and eternal. Life exists only at this very moment. And in this moment, it is infinite and eternal. For the present moment is infinitely small. Before you can measure it, it has gone, and yet it exists forever. And Alan says, I have realized that the past and future are illusions, that they exist in the present, which is what there is and all there is. No valid plans for the future can be made by those who have no capacity for living now. And many of you are spinning out your hopes and dreams. You've got a 5-year plan. You've got a retirement plan. You've got a plan for your children when they grow up. You're like planned to the max. Well, what he says is very, very true, and I will repeat it. No valid plans for the future can be made when you have no capacity for living now. That is worth you contemplating. And perhaps in your contemplation, you'll drop all your planning. Just drop it and be here now. Be here. And he goes on to say, tomorrow and your plans for tomorrow can have no significance at all unless you are in full contact with the reality of the present, since it is in the present and only in the present that you live. So he is very much, this thinking is very much aligned with the work I am doing in the discipline known as non-duality. And a couple of you have asked, what's the name of that book that you're very fond of? In this whole different viewpoint of reality, and it is called Living Reality. Now, I have ordered copies of it, so if you want to get some of that information, order the book from me, go for it. But you got to go on to Purple Portal 777 at gmail.com to let me know you'd like that. Another thing he says, the more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless. And boy, oh boy, some of you have to do a lot of searching inside yourself. The more a thing tends to be permanent, the more it tends to be lifeless. People poke fun at me because I'm a maven of change, and I change my furniture and reading material. I change at every opportunity that doorway is open. And perhaps it's what fuels me. It gives me life. So if you've had that sofa for 40 years, bye-bye. It's sunken, it's unbecoming, it's probably smelly, and you're ready for a new one. And I don't care if you change up at the local thrift shop, but change up. Here's one that I think is absolutely so right on the money, I can't wait to share it. Real religion is the transformation of anxiety into laughter. That should make a few of you look carefully at the doctrines you've been swallowing since the get-go. Real religion is the transformation of anxiety into laughter. And I'm going to show you the truth of that. The other evening, I was sitting very quietly, contemplating, doing my work, processing a lot of information, and it was kind of late for the phone to ring with a girlfriend that I don't hear from that often. It was approaching 9 o'clock, and it's just not the kind of gal that would call in the evening and that late. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And I know she's been going through some very challenging health problems based on a situation that occurred in her childhood. It's kind of recurring now in her mid-70s. The minute I heard the tone of her voice, my antenna went up, and boy, I was really present for her. what had happened that day was she had gone for 3.5 hours of grueling physical and mental exercise to try to overcome the situation from childhood. And she just sounded, well, first of all, exhausted, but I can only tell you, inwardly hurt and harmed. It was too much. This woman is a very delicate woman. She's delicate in her thinking. Her constitution is delicate. And of course, I get crazed. What are these therapists thinking to put that kind of person through something grueling? It takes my breath away, because to me, it's unconscionable and cruel and downright unconscious on their part. They're simply unconscious. So I talked with her gently, and it didn't seem to lift much of anything. Her problem is she's begun to drag her leg based on a childhood issue. And so finally, she knows me well enough, and I know her well enough to say, okay, I don't think what I'm saying to you is lifting this at all. So I'm going to change the topic completely. And I want you to know full on that I'm going to tell you a story that has nothing to do with you, but you will understand it, and maybe this will make the change. And I kind of apologize, because I'm like, and P.S., this is a story about something about me and my personal life, and it's kind of twisted and kind of funny. And she knows some of the players in the twisted story. Well, she began to howl with laughter. Howl. Now, it meant I had to expose a part of myself that is deep and private, but I used it as medicine. It was as if I took a scalpel to scrape out what had happened to her that day. She laughed so hard and so deeply that she finally said, I don't even feel my leg. My leg is perfectly fine. And of course, then we both had a good laugh. And she felt so rich and fulfilled, because of course I couldn't help myself. I had to finish it up with, now you know you're sworn to secrecy, which that made us both laugh even more. Because there's love. And if love ain't religion, there isn't any such thing. And I called you the next day and said, so, how's your leg? And she said, are you kidding? I'm still laughing. The pain's gone. So I really think that Alan Watts, that in that one-liner, real religion is the transformation, in his words, of anxiety into laughter. But actually what happened, real religion in this case, was a transformation of pain and fear into laughter and healing. Some wise guys have indeed said laughter is the best medicine, and it is. Let me see what else he said. This one's good for some of you. Some of you are such clingers. Honest to Pete, you've got this let-go disease that has just escalated, this death clinging of situations in your life. And of course, I'm one who wants to go along to the cliff that your fingernails are like dug deep into and kind of just lift your fingernails up one by one and happily, lovingly watch you do a quadruple flip off the mountain. You will land on a feather bed into some magical territory. I promise. Oh my gosh, but your clinging is, it's beyond clingable. Anyway, here's what he says. Faith is the opposite of clinging to belief, of holding on. And some of you will assure me you've got abundance of faith as you're clinging. So again, I'll repeat it. Faith is the opposite of clinging to belief. It's the opposite of holding on. And he goes on to say with this, but the attitude of faith is to let go and become open to truth, whatever it might turn out to be. You know, truth is not static. Truth is always becoming. So what was truth at 7 o'clock this morning may not be truth now. He continues to have faith. To have faith is to trust yourself to the water. When you swim, you don't grab hold of the water because if you do, you will sink and drown. Instead, you relax and float. We need more floaters in life. We definitely need more floaters. Oh, this is so lovely. He says, I see every one of you as the primordial energy of the universe. In other words, I don't see you as Mr. So-and-so or Ms. So-and-so, or you're a scientist, or you're a lawyer, or you're a street person, or you're a failure, or you're a success. I see you as the primordial energy of the universe coming at me in your particular and special way. And I know that I'm that too. But we've learned to define ourselves as separate from it. And there is the cause of all of your problems. You've learned to define yourself as separate from the primordial energy of the universe. And in that, and of course you've been programmed to believe that too, in that there's war, there's conflict, there's struggle, there's judgment, there's comparison, there's every single thing that makes you sick. So as you realign with who you are as this absolute splendid spark of primordial energy, everything will heal, I tell you. Let me see. He has so many good things. And I wish I could tell you the site that this came to me on, but I can't. I simply must have printed it out. Someone who apparently really appreciates Alan Watts' work collected about 25 of these things, these sayings of Alan's, and put them all together. And sorry about that. Oh, wait a minute. See more. Here we go. See more at the unboundedspirit.com. Okay, so see more of Alan's lessons at the unboundedspirit.com. There's also here a / for those of you who want to check this out, /25 life-changing lessons to learn from Alan Watts. Oh, there's a whole lot of other junk with it, so I'm not going to give you all that stuff. It's too much. So you could also perhaps Google 25 life-changing lessons to learn from Alan Watts if it interests you. Here's one. Believe nothing, no matter who said it, unless it agrees with your own reason and your own common sense. Yeah, common sense it seems to be a little bit on the short side these days. We got to get back into the common sense of it. It is challenging because our food is so tainted, and the food of the olden days actually helped people have greater common sense, believe it or not. So this is why I encourage you to eat slowly, eat less, and eat well. The more organic and whole and farm-to-table you can get, the more common sense you will have, among other things, called good health. I love this one. Have the patience to wait till your mud settles and the water is clear. And muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone. So stop stirring your own pot. I believe I'm quite sure Alan has crossed on to other dimensions of opportunities for growth and learning. But this is one guy that his humor, his forthrightness resonates with me. Oh, this is a good one. No work or love will flourish out of guilt, fear, or hollowness of heart. Ouch. No work or love will flourish out of guilt, fear, or hollowness of heart. You know, I'm in the business of counseling people. That's what I do during the day. And I can't tell you, so frequently, there is no love for their work or for their relationship. And they cannot understand the danger of that and the fact that it cannot flourish. So you need to really be examining your life. It's interesting. I just submitted an article yesterday for my precious Jeff and his Connect 10 magazine. And it's, of course, for August because we have to think forward. And it had to do with in the season of autumn, which I'll be talking about as we get there. But it's the opportunity to have the dead leaves drop from the trees of your life. Okay? So whatever is not flourishing may have to drop off in the autumn time. In the summertime, you still get to try to make it flourish because summer is fire. Oh, this is so interesting. He did have a good sense of humor. We do not come into this world. We come out of it. Many of the mystics know, and this is so terrifying for Western ideology, you're born to experience and then get out. Get out of Dodge. Oh, no, let's cling on. Let's cling on to that bed in the nursing home for 25 years, even though you're practically a vegetable. That's because the consciousness is sunk to an all-time low. And people have completely forgotten not only who they are, but the fact was you took a body, be it fully, and when that beingness is tired being that, go forward, jump out. Now, I'm not giving you permission to throw yourself under the train. I'm not doing that at all. I'm really encouraging you, live fully. And truly, trust me, when you have done that and it's time to move on in life, you will, and you'll do it easily and effortlessly. I figure this was a message so attuned to me. It's probably one of the last. That was last message. Do not pretend to a love which you do not actually feel. Ouch. Never pretend to a love which you do not actually feel. But the one that I had to laugh and go, all right, I hear you. Stop aspiring and start writing. It is time for me to really put my book of healing up and out there. So start writing and get it out there. I do want to talk so that's about for Alan. Now I'm going to talk about Elaine Bartlett's book called Prosperity Portal, A Cosmic Gateway to the Land of Plenty, which is the book that I published and released a couple of months ago. You know, I don't say much about it, not because I don't like it. I simply am not a good one to promote myself. And I get so enthused about, wait, I've got a different message for you. So let me get that out to you. But I had a very interesting awakening with this book over the 4th of July weekend, actually, which by the time you hear this will seem like a long time ago. But I met with a lovely couple that have been friends of mine for many years. He has been a very blessed businessman. His business acumen is wonderful, and therefore there is tremendous bounty available for him, for his wife, and for the family. But they know me well enough and they watch my progress over the years. And so one of their first questions was, how's the book? How's it coming? Well, thankfully, I had thought ahead of time and brought them each a copy of my book and said, well, here it is. Now, I know that it's a book about prosperity, but as I had been driving to see them and concerned that, geez, they've got everything, particularly money, they don't need a prosperity book. And yet, suddenly, I understood, holy smokes, the book is not about money. The book is about all prosperities. So as I took each one in turn and said to them, all right, again, I said, here's the trick with this book. You don't read it. It's very frustrating to me when someone tells me they've read my book. I'm like, it wasn't to be read. It was to be experienced. It was to be ingested slowly, like savoring a wonderful brandy, for heaven's sake. And so you sip it and you stay with it. And so I had them take a sip. And so each one came up with a page, and then they kind of read it. And I could see, yeah, okay, I got it. And okay, they were like done with it. And I know that is the basic format of human beings. They're impatient. So I lovingly took the book from the wife first and addressed her and said, beloved. And I read the words to her. I'm going to read it first to you, the words as they are, and then from the author's perspective. So it says, the spectrum of possibility is infinite. Here, golden opportunities incubate while awaiting the ideal circumstances and moment in which to hatch. Okay, fine. She kind of got it. And that's when I said, no, let me take it for you. The spectrum for you of possibility is infinite. What possibilities would you possibly like to create? In the spectrum of your creation, all of the golden opportunities of the universe incubate, and they await the ideal circumstances and the perfect moment in which to hatch in your life. And then I looked at her and said, what possibilities are you incubating? And she looked and she said, well, I want my work to be very largely accepted by mankind. She's done a great body of work in a certain discipline. And I want it to be recognized at this event. But I know that can't ever happen. And then I looked at her and I showed her the simple demonstration of I put my right foot down very firmly and said, that's the boat of I want it to happen. And that's in the spectrum of possibility. And then I firmly put my left foot down and said, and that's in the boat of doubt and self-undoing. Therefore, you can't get your wish. And then I moved my legs apart as if the boats were drifting apart. And I looked at her with great love and said, and now I'm about to fall into the water. And so you have aborted the spectrum of possibility in this one instance. Why? And she smiled and got the message. So even though it appears to be a book on prosperity, this was a prosperity about her life and her thinking. So I encourage you who have the book, would you look again and think again? Here's one. I just opened to page 32. There it simply says, open to opulent opportunities. Okay. And you'd slam the book shut. Got it. And I would say to you, not so fast. And I would address it like this. And so, beloved, the universe is lovingly tapping you on the forehead to open up to all sorts of wonderful and opulent opportunities. You want to share where you're afraid to do that? And you'd be surprised when you ask yourself the next question and you don't just take it so glibly, a whole story pours out of you. Oh, I'm afraid of new opportunities could be a thought. Oh no, the universe doesn't open opportunities for me. Well, then I would say, well, just a second, because I was driving up to see you before, and I thought I was going to gift you with a prosperity book, but all of a sudden I'm gifting you with opportunities. So I, indeed, myself had a new opportunity to see the work that I lovingly labored over. It's larger than I thought. And actually, humorously, I discovered the same thing about my first book, The Spiritual Laws. It is so much not what it appears on those pages if you will just take a moment and not be so glib with open to opulent opportunities. Okay, I got it. Yeah, no. What opportunities would you like to create? You see, it's endless in its opportunities for you. There was another one that then I turned to her husband, my friend, and he was kind of doubtful about the whole process. Oh, I hope I can find it. Because remember, he's the guy that made beaucoup money. So he was thinking, what the heck? Probably not so much for me here. Well, can I find it? Here it is. Okay. So he reads it, and here it is. Dream a new dream. Dream the dream of ever-present, infinite supply. He didn't really get it. And so again, I took the book, lovingly addressed him as beloved. It's time for you to dream a new dream. Do you hear the words? Do you need a new dream? Well, I know where he's at in his life, and a big whole season has closed. And the words go on to say, dream the dream of ever-present, infinite supply, which is not about money. What would you now like to create? Maybe it's a new foundation for some people in need. Maybe you want to go take oil painting lessons. But it nailed it because it said to him, we know you need to dream a new dream. And you know, we're all very fragile. Without a new dream, we can leave at any time because the dream's over. You hopped out of your own dream boat. You are your own dream boat, you know. If you keep thinking you're looking for a dream boat outside yourself, not so fast, not truthful. So hop into your own dream boat. That's the presence within. That's your understanding of, that's your soulmate, actually, your dreams within. That's your twin flame, the hidden part of the essence of you is what you're looking. You look so outwardly to find it, and it's not outwardly. All the time it was hidden within. So dream for you all, the beloved of each of you. I think many of you need to dream a new dream. Myself included. Why not? And drop the idea that it's got to have a payoff as far as, this will bring me X number of dollars. I have a few friends that insist on taking job positions and career positions, and they're two different things, with what's the payoff financially. You're not going to thrive that way. You won't have freedom that way. You'll have true freedom and true infinite supply as your creativity soars through the dream. So don't be so concerned about the bottom line. It's not helping you. Okay, let me take a deep breath here. Today, we're still in July, so I'm going to look at the 7th page here, because that's the 7th month. Okay, this will help some of you, maybe all of you. The force, with a capital F, is ever abundant. And this is readily demonstrated in nature. So if you're feeling lack of finances, lack of happiness, lack of tranquility, lack of serenity, and you didn't sink into serenity, as I suggested at the beginning of the show, go out into nature. It's so interesting when we go into nature. Last evening, look, each of us, we go into a little trough here and there. We sink down. And sometimes it's just the time of day. Sometimes a little thing or a big thing has happened. Sometimes you ate incorrectly. Sometimes you had alcohol, you had a drug, you had something. So you sink, all right? Well, I didn't do any of the above yesterday. I was eating well. Everything was happy. And yet around 6:30, it's almost like I was overcooked with some of the consultations that I had yesterday. They were intense. They were deep. They were bountiful, which is good. But by the end of it, I felt a bit depleted. And I thought, get your sneakers on and go over to the ocean. I was so restored after it took about 3 miles. But the restoration via Mother Nature was absolutely seminal. It was fantastic. So, trust nature. What's this one? I don't like that one. I mean, I like it, but I'm not doing it. It's too much. All right, I think I'm done with that. We're done. Okay, so what's happening is we are still, in the last minute and a half here, we are still in the final, are we in the final month? No, we're in the final month of summer, actually a fire season. So we're in the month of the sheep. This will last till August 6th. So you got to get a hold of your energies, your fire, your enthusiasm, learn to channel it correctly. And in this the third month of every season is a transition month. So really be open to some of the transitions that I've spoken of. Even if nothing else becomes a transition, I'm telling you, practice sink into serenity. It will change. I was surprised I could get out of my car and walk in here. I was feeling like such a calm, wet noodle. Everything, all conflict went away. All stress went away. You need to avoid conflict and stress. They will make you sick. You know that. I harp on that, but I thought I'd throw that in right now so that you will actually sink into serenity. So in this sheep month, sheep is an interesting astrological symbol. It means place your thoughts carefully. Take one step at a time. That's what the sheep energy is about. Don't be taking food in gulps, but don't be taking the food of life in gulps either. I think that's the point of why I had you slow down with my work and Alan Watts' work today. So in the slowing down process, I will let you know next week that this is a taped show, but please listen. My love is with you. My heart is wide open for you.